Domestic violence is a large and growing problem nationwide. Um, it's a very close subject to my heart. As many of you know, I was in a relationship for 15 years of marriage, and it was a domestic violence situation. So it is very close to my heart, and I was not educated on what domestic violence was. I had no idea that I was in a domestic violence relationship. I knew that there were things wrong in the marriage. I did not know what they were, and I did not know how to fix it. So my goal here is to educate you more on domestic violence so that maybe that you can understand it and know more about it so that you can recognize it and help prevent it later on. Domestic violence is a huge problem. According to the Huffington Post, 24 people experience domestic violence per minute. 1 in 4 women report intimate partner violence. It is the #1 death of women during pregnancy. It is, on average, 3+ women are killed daily by a spouse. Domestic violence costs $5.8 billion in healthcare costs annually. Statewide, the statistics in 2012 reported by North Carolina Department of Justice and the Family Guidance Center and Shelter were 122 homicides were due to domestic violence in North Carolina. 85% of the perps were male. 45.9% of the people who were family members. 1,640 victims were seen by the Family Guidance Center and the First Step Shelter program. 80 women and 82 children were provided with temporary shelter and meals from the Family Guidance Center. Hopefully after this presentation, you will know more about domestic violence and you will be able to recognize it. Domestic violence, Ann Peel states domestic violence. She is the executive director of the Family Guidance Center, and she states, domestic violence is a pattern of behavior that seeks to establish power and control over an intimate partner through fear and intimidation. Domestic violence occurs in 3 phases, which are referred to as the cycle of violence. The tension building phase is the first phase. It is where the batterer comes on strong. He seduces you, and he is very loving and very caring at first. As the relationship continues, he starts demanding more and more things from you. He wants you to do more of the things that he wants you to do. He tries to control what you wear. He tries to control what you speak, who your friends are. There's also an increase in violence towards objects. He'll get angry about something and break something, or he'll punch walls, or he doesn't direct it at you yet. This is just a building phase. The second phase is the acute battering phase. This is the phase where violence occurs. Law enforcement is usually called out at this point, and once the violence happens, the batterer chooses he makes a decision in his mind what body part he is going to attack. And a lot of times they do attack body parts that are not going to be visible, like choking or putting bruises not in places where people can see. Once this is released, his tension is gone, and so when law enforcement gets there, he seems calm, and he seems, and he's very charming too. He can convince law enforcement that he's not crazy, she is. And by then, the victim is so shook up, and she is so distraught that she seems crazy. And he can tell she's been drinking, or she's been doing this, and a lot of times law enforcement believes it because he's so calm, because he's had that now he's good. The third phase is the honeymoon or second phase. It's the last phase, and it is calm and nonviolent to where the batterer even, he may admit to, I did something wrong, you know. But a lot of times he'll put it off on someone else. He'll put it off on you or whoever it is that he has directed that towards. But he will take some responsibility. And when he does this, it makes the victim think that there's hope. And it's the most dangerous phase of the three phases because it creates this sense of hope and it creates this mindset that, okay, things can get better. Things will get better if I just hang on. And that's what's called the cycle of violence because it goes around and it goes around and it goes around. And many times it takes a woman 8, 9, 10, 11 times of leaving and going back before she finally is able to get away from her abuser. There is hope for domestic violence victims. The first and biggest step is recognizing that your loved one is being victimized and that they are being abused. And you can then take steps to get out. Getting out can be dangerous. It can be very dangerous. It is recommended that the victim have a safety plan ready, that you have any of your children's documents, any of your birth certificates, anything like that. It is recommended that you have it stashed in a safe place, or you give it to a friend to hold for you so that he doesn't destroy it. Many times they will hide guns, they will have a whole plan, and every cycle escalates more. So it's very dangerous for a woman to get out. A woman, according to the Huffington Post, a woman is 75% more likely to be killed by an intimate partner when leaving a situation. So the statistics are extremely high, extremely high. It is recommended to have a good support system, a close family member, a best friend, because things can get very harrowing, and they will need emotional support. According to AMPL, it is the most dangerous time to leave. My situation was very rough. The packet that I gave you is the packet that Ann gave me when I first went to her, and I was directed by a friend to go to her. She gave me 3 papers there and gave me copies to give to him to show him. When I first went, I did not realize I was being abused. I had no idea. And the first time she mentioned domestic violence, I was like, domestic violence? That's not me. I'm not being raped. I'm not, in the ditch somewhere being left for dead. But that started the cycle in my brain. That planted the seed. And Ann told me later, she actually just 2 weeks ago, Ann told me, she said, I'm just here to plant seeds. She said, do you realize now, and this has been probably 6, 7 years now. She said, do you realize now that it was domestic violence? Do you realize that's what you were going through? And I'm like, yeah, how could I not have been, how could I not realize that? But at the time, the victim was just thinking, I've got to help this person. This is not who he is. And you rationalize, he's bipolar, or he has, mental issues, and if he could just get help. And so you've got this whole hope cycle. So in conclusion, domestic violence is a cycle of violence that has 3 phases. The tension building phase, the acute battering phase, the honeymoon phase. And by knowing the cycle of violence and recognizing it, you can help prevent it for yourself or loved ones in the future.
No, I know that was something personal. The time limit is part of the skill.